Two new Royals took the field yesterday looking to make a good first impression and put last year behind them. Melky Cabrera's first game included 3 hits, and Jeff Francoeur hit his first home run, but the Royals fell short to the Angels. Game 2 is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Jeff Francis also falls into the category of wanting to make a good first impression and wipe the slate clean from last year as he takes the mound tonight against the Los Angeles Angels. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and opening day is always a special day in Kansas City, and it was nice to see over 40,000 people here yesterday, but the real routine begins with game number 2.
Well, you're right, Ryan. The guys are coming out of spring training, and they want to get that first game out of the way, and the game 2 lets them know that they're well on their way to getting the season going.
On one hand, it seemed like a frustrating day for the Royals on offense. They only came up with 2 hits against Angel starter Jared Weaver, but batting coach Kevin Seitzer was happy with the Royals' approach.
I thought we battled them, even when we had 1 hit through, first 5 innings or whatever it was. I mean, we were having great ABs. The guys were battling. Like I said, he just got good stuff, good command, and was mixing up his pitches. And, the guys were a little excited on certain pitches they had to hammer. They tried to do a little too much at times, but for the most part, I was really pleased with the approaches that they tried to take into the game. That was our game plan. For opening day, and as excited as guys can get, I thought they had great ABs.
Well, Melky Cabrera and Jeff Francoeur both, Ryan, are looking to rebound from last year, and both guys took big steps in yesterday's game and go in that direction.
They are 2 of 6 Royals who made their debut yesterday in a Royals uniform. And tonight will be the 7th Royals debut as Jeff Francis will take the mound against the Los Angeles Angels. And we'll talk more about him when we come back to Kauffman Stadium. by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win. And by Southwest Airlines' new Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. So 6 players making their Royals debut yesterday and 3 making their Major League debuts. Aaron Crow with an inning and a third scoreless with 3 strikeouts. Nate Adcock, the Rule 5 pick, had a scoreless inning. And Tim Collins had a scoreless inning. And now tonight, Jeff Francis makes his Royals debut. Now, he's been around. He has 55 career wins. Frank, you saw him before he even got to the big leagues.
Well, I did. I saw him in Double-A, Tulsa in 06, Ryan, and he had a great fastball, great curveball, and he does have playoff experience with the Colorado Rockies. What he brings here to the Royals is he's got to go realize his smartness because he doesn't have the same fastball, but he is a smart guy on the mound, and that really should be enough to get him through.
These are highlights from spring training with Francis facing the Angels. He saw them last year pitching for the Rockies and pitched to a no decision. And here's the lineup that he will face tonight, presented by Southwest Airlines. Changes from yesterday, Eric Ibar will lead off in place of Myceris Turris. And taking his Turris spot on defense will be former Royal Alberto Callaspo at third base. And of course, Torrey Hunter will be batting cleanup. He continues to wreck the Royals. His 27th career home run against KC yesterday, the most for him against any major league team. It's the Royals and the Angels, and the first pitch is next. Where HD is free with digital cable. And we go out to left field and bring in Joel Goldberg.
Well, as we mentioned yesterday, Ryan, the Royals bullpen is now in left field, and you talked about all the young guys that pitched yesterday. Now, when you're in a major league bullpen and you're young, you have some responsibilities. Just mild hazing, I guess is what it would be called. And we've seen players in the past have to carry backpacks like a Dora bag. Well, guess who's got it this year here for the Royals? Aaron Crow with a backpack, and on that backpack, a picture, the face of Justin Bieber.
Whoa.
Tim Collins was carrying that bag, and then Aaron Crow said, well, I'm not a fan of his, but I'll take the attention, give it to me. Aaron Crow actually a fan of techno, but if you come out to the ballpark, you'll see him carrying that Justin Bieber bag.
Thanks, Joel. Jeff Francis' first pitch as a Royal is a strike to Eric Ibar. So Jeff Francis now 2 years removed from left shoulder surgery, and the shoulder began acting up for him in 2008. And Mike Aviles is tested right away on a hot smash from Eric Ibar, and there is one down. So Francis on the DL in July of 08, had surgery during the offseason, missed all of 2009, and then was on the DL twice last year because of the shoulder. And then he finished the 2010 season with the 4-6 record, and one of those wins was against the Royals. One ball and one strike on Howie Kendrick. Got up into the 60s in Kansas City today with some sunshine. Right now right at 60, and the wind is blowing out of the north, so that temperature will drop quickly. We started right on time at 7:10. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot at KCI. Howie Kendrick 1 for 4 with a double yesterday, and that double coming in his first at bat.
You know, Mike Scioscia really likes this guy here, Ryan. He really likes the fact that he had a great spring. He's not really a prototypical number 2 hitter. He's a very aggressive hitter, but Mike really feels like he's the one guy that when the ball is in his zone, he hits the ball as hard as anyone.
And as Split mentioned yesterday, early in his major league career, Mike Scioscia predicted that at some point he thought Howie Kendrick would win a batting title. Into center field, into a crosswind, but it gets through the wind and over the wall. It was not a high-scoring game yesterday. It was 4-2 Angels, but 4 home runs were hit, and now the Angels have a home run in the first inning tonight.
But the one thing about Jeff Francis, he's not going to strike a lot of guys out, and he's got the fastball at 85 and the changeup. It looks like Howie Kendrick picked on a changeup right here and drove it to straightaway center field.
If we go by the flags, it would appear that any ball hit to center field, left center field, or straightaway left isn't going to get any help at all. In fact, more resistance than help. However, if you can get the ball up in the wind to right center field or right field, you might get a little help from Mother Nature. No balls and 2 strikes on Bobby Abreu.
Well, this is one of those games as a defensive player you go into. You know you have a pitcher on the mound that doesn't strike a lot of guys out. He depends on his defense making plays, so it's going to be really important for all the Royals defenders to be expecting the ball on every pitch, because with Jeff Francis with that topping out at 85 with the fastball, they're going to put the ball in play a lot.
1-2 on Bobby Abreu. 1 for 4 yesterday with a walk. Last year, Bobby Abreu played in 153 games, and that's noteworthy because it was the 13th consecutive season where he played at least 150 games, and that ties Willie Mays for the major league record. So he's a gamer year in and year out. And Francis and Brian Pena wanted that call, but didn't get it from Kerwin Danley. Brian Pena will be back of the plate for the lefties, Jeff Francis and Bruce Chen, with Matt Trainer back there for Luke Hochevar, Kyle Davies, and Vin Mazzaro. There's the curveball, and Francis has a strikeout following the home run from Kendrick. Tough game for the Royals on defense yesterday, and that was really an area of frustration last year. Errors. Royals led the league, and they had 3 in the game against the Angels, resulting in 1 unearned run. Ball 1 on Torrey Hunter. 2 out of 5 with a home run. He also struck out twice. 2 balls, no strikes.
That's the one thing that Jeff Francis really needs to try to avoid is getting behind the hitters and having to come in with the fastball. He does still have a good curveball and does have a good changeup, but I think they work more effectively when you throw first pitch strikes with your fastball.
I remember when the Royals faced Francis and we were kind of studying up on him, that there was some talk about him having kind of a deceptive motion, and he's very slow in the beginning, and then he just kind of explodes through the ball at the last moment. And so the radar gun on that last pitch is 87 miles an hour, but to the hitter it seems faster than that.
Especially when you have that good changeup to go with it, and you have to come up with something that makes you a little bit different. You look at Bruce Chin, who throws in the same range with his fastball, but it's a different arm angles that he uses to kind of throw hitters off. What Jeff Francis really has to be more on the corners with his fastball, and then utilize the changeup and the curveball.
And he is going to have to be on the corners, because 2 pitches ago he thought he had a call over the outside part of the plate, and that's the second time in the inning that both Francis and Brian Pena thought the pitch was a strike, but not according to Kerwin Danley. So a pitcher like Francis isn't necessarily looking for a handout, but that style of pitcher, they need that extra inch to half inch off the plate.
Well, a lot of pitchers want to get one baseball off the plate in and out, but he probably needs 2 at times. But he's got to just establish himself in one area, and I think that'll turn for him later on in the game.
Aviles picks it up with the bare hand and throws out Vernon Wells. And now Aviles will lead off the bottom of the first. He led off the 8th yesterday with his first home run of the year.
I tell you what, that's not an easy play right there. Right? He just grabs it and rolls it around in his hand and makes the play. Outstanding play.
Here's the Royals lineup, and the only change from yesterday's game is at the catcher position. So Brian Pena will bat 8th instead of Matt Trainer, and back of the plate of Jeff Francis in tonight's Southwest Airlines Royals batting order. And talking about pitchers that can lull you to sleep with their motion, Dan Herron would be at the top of the list. Very slow, smooth, and deliberate, especially out of the windup. Hesitates. 1 ball, 1 strike on Mike Aviles. Dan Herron last year was traded from the Diamondbacks to the Angels, and that was a dream come true for him. He grew up in Monterey Park, California, which is a little less than 30 miles northwest of Anaheim, and he grew up a huge Angels fan. Two balls, 2 strikes. Aviles 1 out of 5 yesterday with his 8th inning home run. He is facing Dan Herron for the first time. Three balls, two strikes. Ned Yost was asked before the game tonight about what he liked about Mike Aviles leading off, and one of the things he pointed to is that Mike is normally going to give you a long at bat. He strikes out here, but he forces Herron to throw 6 pitches. Here are the Angels defensively, and it's Wells, Borges, and Hunter in the outfield. Alberto Callaspo at third base today with Ibar, Kendrick, and Trumbo, the rookie. And Jeff Mathis is back at the plate. Dan Herron last year struck out 216 batters. And now throws a strike to Melky Cabrera, who was on base 4 times yesterday. He had 3 hits, also reached with a walk and picked up a stolen base. Here's the splitter, and that's Dan Herron's best pitch normally, a hard splitter that just disappears on the hitter. In on the hands, and Trumbo calls off Mathis, 2 down. Dan Herron originally out of the Cardinals organization. They took him in the 2nd round back in 2001 out of Pepperdine. And then he was involved in a big name trade. Traded from the Cardinals to the A's for Mark Mulder, who didn't do anything for the Cardinals, but when he left Oakland, he was at the height of his career and then injured his shoulder, and the Cardinals didn't get anything at all from him. And then traded from the A's to the Diamondbacks, from the Diamondbacks to the Angels.
You know, someone really should ask him what's his secret to staying healthy. I mean, he hasn't missed a start, Ryan, since 2005. You know, that streak spans like 203 starts, averaging what, 215 innings per season.
Up the middle, Ibar, looked like that might have gone off of his foot. So after a frustrating day yesterday, Alex Gordon turns the page and picks up his first hit of the season.
And this is what Kevin Seitzer really wants Alex to do, Ryan, is really just sort of focus on driving the ball back through the middle. And he does a good job here. This ball is on the inner half of the plate, and normally he would roll over this ball and hit a ground ball to second base, but he stayed right through it, right up the middle, and Ibar got there, but didn't get down on the ball.
So Alex at first, and now Billy Butler. 0 for 2 yesterday. He did reach with a couple of walks. One ball and no strikes. During the offseason and shortly after Billy signed his contract extension, he and his wife Katie were looking for a new house, and they found one in Scottsdale, Arizona. It belonged to Dan Herron. So they haven't closed yet, but sometime next month, Billy Butler is going to move into Dan Herron's old house. And depending on what happens today, could have something to do with what kind of condition Dan Herron leaves that house. Two balls and one strike. Four-game series, so Billy has plenty of time to extend his streak. He was hitless yesterday, but this carries over from last year. Remember that long streak of Billy having at least one hit in a series, and now he's gone 103 consecutive series with at least one hit, and that's the second longest current streak in the major leagues. Only Nick Markakis of the Orioles has a longer streak.
He's got that great ability to put the ball in play, and he uses line to line, and that really helps him in situations like this.
Trumbo again in foul ground, and Dan Herron has a scoreless bottom of the first inning. Hendrick home run. We remind you to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment. That'll come up later in tonight's game. Alberto Callaspo, Mark Trumbo, and Jeff Mathis coming up against Jeff Francis. Outside to Callaspo. So Mycir Izturis plays third base yesterday. Alberto is there today. A natural second baseman. He came up through the Angels organization as a second baseman, paired with Eric Ibar for several seasons in the minor leagues, and was traded to Arizona, where he continued to play second base. He came to the Royals as a second baseman and moved to third last year. One away in the top of the second inning. And now Mark Trumbo, who had 36 home runs in the minor leagues last year. He was the Angels 2010 Minor League Player of the Year. Born in Anaheim, went to high school in Orange, and not only playing for his hometown team, but you can tell what kind of expectations the Angels have from Trumbo. They have the number right on his jersey, number 44. And his first hit is a ground ball through the right side, 1 on, 1 out.
Well, Mickey Hatcher really likes the fact, Ryan, he can do this. I mean, he's not only have very good power to right center, but you can see this pitch is away, and that's that zone that Jeff Francis is going to be in a lot this year. So I think the game plan is to try to take the fastball and work it to the opposite field and force him to bring the ball back inside.
A strike to Jeff Mathis, who batted 195 last year, but he was able to put that in his rearview mirror with a home run yesterday. Had 2 hits, and both of his hits were extra base hits.
Well, the thing that hurts Jeff is he likes to try to pull the ball. You know, he likes the ball down, middle in, so he can turn on it. So he's got to really work hard to force the ball the other way and keep it in the middle of the field. So pitching away to him might be the way to go.
First round pick of the Angels back in 2001. You know, teams say it all the time, Frank, that a catcher, his first responsibility is what he does behind the plate and how he handles the pitcher. Now, everyone says that, but not all teams mean it. And when a catcher doesn't hit, and Mathis batted 195 last year, it's easy to say, well, he's not hitting enough. Not with the Angels. And we talked about it yesterday. Mike Scioscia, who spent 15 years in the big leagues as a catcher, when he says it, he means it. Job number 1 is to be a catcher. It's what you do behind the plate. All those pitches that you have to call over the course of 9 innings. And if you're doing that well and you're not hitting, you're going to hang on to your job.
But they don't really mean it.
Not all teams do. I mean, how many times do you say, well, his job is to play defense, and then 2 or 3 months into the season, he's playing great defensively, but you know, he's only hitting .210 and he loses his job. Escobar, and that little hesitation took away the opportunity for a double play. So Mathis is out and Trumbo moves up to second base.
Well, it just gets you right. Just tries to be a little too quick, and it turned his head a little too early and didn't mishandle, but did make a good adjustment to get the runner at first base. Well, I would think your number 1 catcher would have to hit. Your number 2 can be the defensive guy.
Peter Borges takes outside. I talked to Jeff Mathis before the game tonight, and make no mistake about it, I mean, he wants to hit, and the Angels would like to see him do better than 195, and he probably will, but he really does feel like Mike Scioscia is a man of his word, that, you know, if he's doing the job behind the plate, that the batting average isn't as important.
And it probably isn't until that one guy comes along that can do both, and then it becomes very important.
Right.
So
right.
you just, as far as the catcher in that situation, I'm sure that he's not going to let up on his work and trying to be a better hitter, but you can only rely on that so long because that one guy, sooner or later, is going to show up that can do both of them.
One ball and 2 strikes on Peter Borges, who turned 24 yesterday and celebrated that day with 2 hits and a run scored, beginning his first full season in the big leagues. Called up in August last year, pushing Torrey Hunter over to right field. And there's some in the Angels organization that will tell you that Peter Borges is the best defensive center fielder in the American League. Now Brian Pena wants to talk over this 1-2 pitch with Jeff Francis, and we will present to you tonight's Sprint You Call It. Who will win the most games this year for the Royals? Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals. A. Lou Kochaver, B. Jeff Francis, C. Kyle Davies, D. Bruce Chen. Just off the corner, 2 balls, 2 strikes. If you send in your text, you'll get a bounce back text message, which will give you all the details you need to know on how to win a suite here at Kauffman Stadium for you and 11 guests. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we leave Vin Mazzaro off the list for a couple of reasons. There's only room for 4, and Vin's going to have a shortage of starts compared to the other 4, and the Royals aren't going to use him until they get past all of the April off days.
I'm going to look at Bruce Chen again. I mean, he's got the great repertoire. He changes speeds, keep the hitters off balance, and he's a guy that led the team last year in wins. So I'm going to stay with him until someone changes my mind.
Right field, and Francoeur is there. So the Angels lead Trumbo at second base. Questions for us in the booth, and here's tonight's question.
I'm Joel Garcia from Kansas City, Missouri, and I just had a question for the announcers for tonight on whether they thought Jeff Francis was going to be a one-year pitcher for the Royals or whether he was going to be with us for the long haul in the rebuilding process.
Thank you, Joel. Frank, what do you think?
Well, I think he'd like to be. I mean, every pitcher would like to be with the team for quite a while, but I think with the young guys coming up behind him, I think he's got to do something really special this year to be a part of it next year.
It'll have a lot to do with not only how he pitches, but how the left-handed pitchers in the minor leagues are doing. Keela down on 3 pitches, and Herron has his second strikeout. Tomorrow's game begins at 12:10, and fans will receive a Royals magnetic schedule presented by Sprint. So a different start on a Saturday, 12:10. The Futures game follows. Go to Royals.com/promotions for more information. Hit hard up the middle, but Kendrick was shaded in that direction, so he throws out Jeff Francoeur, and Dan Herron has 2 quick outs. Frank, you were talking last inning about Dan Herron and how he's been able to stay healthy, and he has been a true innings eater. Over the last 6 years, he has gone at least 215 innings per year, and he's the only active pitcher to claim that.
Well, it's just amazing since he started starting in 2005. You know, a period covering like 203 starts. He hasn't missed a start. I mean, how do you do it?
Bunted foul by Escobar. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, mechanics have something to do, not everything. I mean, there's some guys you just swear their arm's going to fall off by the way they throw. And some guys have smooth deliveries and somehow they get hurt. But Dan Herron certainly falls into the category of someone who has a very smooth and simple delivery, controlled delivery. Royals send just 3 to the plate against Herron in the 2nd inning. Royals baseball is brought to you by Viagra and by Steel. Are you ready for Steel? Well, it isn't this windy, but it feels that way with the wind blowing out of the north and blowing in some colder temperatures. 1-0 Angels on a home run from Howie Kendrick in the 1st inning. And Jeff Francis snaps off a big curveball and strike 1 on Eric Ibar. Ibar had his batting average drop 59 points last year compared to 2009, which was a career year. And he gets it through the right side and was certainly helped by Kila Kaihue playing in. And the Angels have their leadoff man on with excellent speed. We would like to encourage you to email the booth with any questions you may have regarding the Royals. Each night we'll pick one appropriate question to read on the air. Feel free to include your name and hometown with your question. Go to carsoup.com/Royals. Once you're there, CarSoup asks for your zip code. Once you fill in the zip code, then it sends you to a different page where you can submit your question. So we will have video questions and email questions this year. In addition to our Sprint, you call it, where we ask you the question and you can text in your answer. Ibar last year with 22 stolen bases. Howie Kendrick hitting a changeup over the wall in center field back in the first inning. And now Jeff Francis is guilty of a balk called by first base umpire Paul Nart.
We take a look at him here, Ryan, and basically that 45-degree angle, he broke it, and that's why he was called for it. More the body going toward home plate than the first base.
A left-handed pitcher also, when he lifts his right leg, the legs cannot cross. The right leg cannot cross over the left leg and then go to first base. I mean, you certainly can do that and go to the plate. And the first thing that Paul Nart did was slap his knee with his hand. So runner at second base, and now 2 balls and no strikes on Howie Kendrick. Two and one. We were talking last inning about how long Jeff Francis may be with the Royals, and he certainly has an opportunity to have an impact both on the field with the way he pitches and in the clubhouse with some young pitchers coming up from the minor leagues eventually, we think. And he also adds some been there, done that, having pitched in the postseason. He pitched in the World Series in 2007. He won 17 games that year for the Rockies. And he is not getting the corners from Kerwin Danley tonight.
You're right, Ryan. He really needs it. You can see the right-handed hitters leaning out, trying to go the other way. So he comes back on the inner half, and that's a pitch there that he's really got to have.
So instead of 2 balls, 2 strikes, it's 3-1 to Kendrick. Three and two. No, Kendrick was all geared up for a fastball, and Francis threw him a change.
Well, it's a good changeup ball. Really went down out over the middle of the plate, and hitters when he not afraid of the fastball being thrown by you, then normally you slow down a little bit and you try to take away the changeup and the curveball and just trust your hands to work on the 85, 86 mile an hour fastball. Just trying to do way too much on that pitch.
Back with a fastball, and it's fouled away. Now the changeup, if I recall, came in at 71 miles an hour, and then the fastball at 87. So you're talking about 16 miles per hour difference between the two pitches.
And this changeup does a good job of falling off too. It doesn't stay straight. It just really goes down out over the plate. And that'll get the right-handed hitters to beat the ball in the ground.
Ibar is the runner at second base. He will try to go to third. Escobar thought about throwing over there, but takes the sure out. Looks like he had time to get Ibar, but you never know. Ibar could have been running in the throwing lane.
Well, it could have been a lane, and he might not have a good grip on this ball either. You see he's got it right there, but it just doesn't seem real confident that he can make that play. And what helps him on that play right there is if the third baseman gets to the outside part of the bag and give him a better sight to throw, that might be probably he just couldn't see where in relationship to where Mike Aviles was in the base runner.
Well, that second angle was great. I mean, Aviles was almost hidden as Ibar was running into third base.
Right, so that's when you got, if the ball's behind the runner like that, then as a third baseman, you got to stay on the outside and make sure the shortstop can see you. Even if you got to be a step off the base to give him a lane to throw, and you come back and make the tag.
Curveball gave Bobby Abreu trouble back in the first inning when Jeff Francis struck him out. And now he whiffs at a curveball in the third.
Well, that's the one pitch he hasn't lost. You know, surgery's affected his fastball, but as far as his curveball and changeup, those are two real good pitches for Jeff Francis.
Royals have the infield in. All the way in on the left side and halfway in on the right side. Royals are going to want to appeal that, won't they? Well, no appeal, down to the third base umpire. 1 ball, 1 strike. Abreu made a pretty good offering at that pitch.
It looks like Bobby's looking for this fastball on the inner half of the plate. It's not coming. I mean, he's really getting out there really fast for a curveball, anything off speed. And with Jeff Francis' fastball, he shouldn't be so concerned with getting jammed in this situation with the infield in.
Back with a fastball inside, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, you kind of have a feeling what that pitch sets up right there. He's looked so bad on the curveball, and the curveball is the one pitch he can throw right here and still get the ground ball if he keeps it down. But that pitch really sets that curveball up.
Tied him up, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Let's take another look at tonight's You Call It, presented by Sprint, asking you which starting pitcher will have the most wins this season. Luke Hochevar, Jeff Francis, Kyle Davies, or Bruce Chen. Got it. Kind of looked like a changeup. He set him up with the curve and the fastball, and Francis strikes out Abreu again.
Well, he really does a good job of really pounding the 2 fastballs back to back inside, and then he does what one of my favorite off-speed pitchers, Jamie Mario, does. He comes back in the same location with the changeup.
So 2 strikeouts for Francis, both against Abreu, and now the infield can back up to their normal depth as Torrey Hunter, swinging for it all, is down 0-1. Francis walked him in the first inning. Torrey said before the game yesterday that he actually prefers to begin the season on the road. There are fewer distractions on the road than at home, although this has been a home away from home for Torrey Hunter, and for more reasons than one. He plays so well here, and when he was growing up in Arkansas, he had 5 uncles who lived in the Kansas City area, so Torrey spent many summers in Kansas City and made several appearances here at Kauffman Stadium. Worlds of fun, you name it. And Kauffman Stadium has been worlds of fun for Torrey Hunter over his career. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
With 88 hits, 54 RBI. Something like 27 home runs.
27 career home runs against the Royals. The most for him against any other team. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me. Jeff Francoeur doesn't see it, and then he finds it. He completely took his eye off the ball and somehow was able to find it in the gray sky. better known as the nationally recognized comedian B. Rich, who performs for U.S. troops overseas. He personally knew Buck and wrote the original grant for the youth-based Weed and Seed program through the United States Department of Justice, and continues to be active in youth organizations. B. Rich sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at tonight's game. One ball, one strike on Brian Pena, who bats for the first time this year. Matt Trainer in his Royals debut yesterday was 1 out of 3 with a walk. Brian hit .253 for the Royals last year. And up until the last 2 days of spring training games, Brian figured he'd be sharing time behind the plate with Lucas May in what might have been a 50-50 split in playing time. And then the Royals made the deal with the Rangers to bring in Matt Trainer. 2-2.
Now, the one thing that Brian does is he brings a lot of energy, and he's going to keep working hard to get better. And defense has been the area that they've talked about most. So he just needs to keep working, and as time goes, he may get more playing time.
He is so easy to pull for. I mean, not only is he a good guy, but when he talks about team first with his goals, I mean, you really believe that his heart means it, that those aren't just empty words, and he wants to do whatever the Royals want him to do. He would love to stay here in Kansas City. He is not brand new to catching. I mean, he's pretty much been a catcher ever since turning pro, which was a long time ago now after defecting from Cuba. But before his defection, he was not a catcher. That was not his position with the Cuban junior national team. Callaspo cuts it off in the hole, and Brian Pena is the first out of the third inning. Fox Sports Kansas City's Royals replica Jersey Day returns on April the 16th. The first 20,000 fans attending the Royals Mariners game receive a road gray replica jersey. For more information, you can call the Royals or visit Royals.com. And now a strike on Chris Getz. Talk about all the change the Royals have had since opening day last year. Do you know Chris Getz was the only player in the opening day lineup yesterday that was in the same position opening day last year? Now, Billy Butler was in the lineup last year, but he was at first. He was the DH yesterday, but Chris Getz was the only player in the same position. Off the left field line, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Nice grab in the first row. Two-hand, bare hand.
Made it look easy.
Kind of a half-hearted swing. Try and tell Jeff Mathis that.
See where it's a really late swing here, and he gets right on top of the ball, and even though he's got that padding over that chin guard, over that knee, I mean, that's square on the kneecap right there. It's amazing how catchers shake that off, and you see them after the game, they take the uni off, they're black and blue everywhere on their body.
Down on strikes. So Heron has struck out 3. And he's retired the last 6. Down to Joel Goldberg.
Well, I got the leadoff man for the Royals, Mike Aviles, and I know, Ryan, you were talking yesterday about Mike doing so well when he leads off innings. I asked him about being in this leadoff role this year, and he said he hasn't done a whole lot of it. A little bit for Trey Hillman in 08, a little bit for Frank White during his minor league days. Not much. He said he doesn't change his approach at all. He's not looking for walks, just looking for hits. He said this game is tough enough as it is. He's not going to make it any more difficult on himself by trying to do something that he's not comfortable with. Go up there, same approach, try to get the hits, get on base that way.
Well, it's worked for him in his career leading off innings. He drives this with 2 outs and nobody on to right center field. And he's going to try for 3 with 2 away. Kendrick's throw is just enough up the line to allow Vilas to go into third with a triple.
Right, that's really what Ned Yost is looking for right here from Michael Vilas. Is not the walks, it's his ability to drive the ball and hit extra base hit. And he does give you a quality at bat by seeing a lot of different pitches. But he drives his fastball in the right center field, stays right on it, and then he knows right away with all the running programs they did in spring training, he's going to get as much as he can get.
The Royals have a runner past first base for the first time tonight. Dan Herron jumps ahead of Melky Cabrera. Well, you are what you practice, and the Royals practice base running every day. Ned Yost setting the bar very high, and before spring training even began, he said he wanted his team to be the best base running team in the American League by the end of spring training.
Well, he made it a priority, and you make it a priority for your staff and yourself, and it just goes down to the player. They work a lot on making those short turns, and that's the difference between a stretching a single and a double into a double or double into a triple. And also on first, the ball's in the dirt. They want to be able to read those balls in the dirt right out of the pitcher's hands and try to get down to second base in that situation too.
Melky ahead, 2 balls, 1 strike.
I talked to Kevin Seitzer before the game about Melky Cabrera. He said he was a breath of fresh air. He said that when he came in, he'd make suggestions. He just said, okay, let's go to work. And he said he just took the best batting practice day in, day out of any player in spring training.
Well, all that intentional batting practice that he took, every swing with a purpose, paid off. He batted .468 in the Cactus League and picked up 3 hits yesterday. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So does Herron want to give in here to Cabrera, or deal with Alex Gordon waiting on deck?
He's got some history with Cabrera. Cabrera's 5 for 13 against him, so they're probably not going to get into him.
And he got him with a fastball up. So the Royals leave Aviles at third base. One ball, no strikes on Vernon Wells as we begin the top of the fourth inning. 1-0 Angels on Howie Kendrick's first inning home run. And Mike Aviles has it go right through his legs. Split said very early in the game last night, or yesterday afternoon, that Mike Aviles couldn't get a routine play. Everything was a difficult play. This might have been the most routine play he's had so far.
Well, you're right. His first two plays were tough, but never did get down on this ball. And you can see it, body position right here. The ball goes cleanly through his legs and how straight his legs are. So never really got down on it to where he can feel this ball cleanly. Had a nice long hop, but just never got down.
Wells grounded out to Aviles back in the first inning. Fouled away by Alberto Callaspo, who also grounded out to Aviles his first time.
One thing Mike's got to remember is that when Bruce Chen's pitching, when Jeff Francis is pitching, a lot of off-speed pitches, you're going to get a lot of work down there. So you really got to be on your toes when those right-handed hitters come up.
When Jeff Francis and Bruce Chen are pitching their games, the left side of the infield is very busy. And Francis, he is down 1-0 because of a home run and a pitch that he got up. However, in his first 3 innings, only 2 of his 9 outs have been in the air. So for the most part, he has kept the ball down. And 7 of those 9 outs either by way of a strikeout or a ground out.
Yeah, he's doing a real good job using his changeup and his curveball as ground ball pitches, and I think that's where the smartness of Jeff Francis comes in. He knows he doesn't have the overpowering fastball, so he's shown that he will back his fastball up inside of back-to-back pitches and then come back with a changeup. I mean, he's really thinking on the mound very well.
Over through that pitch, 1-1 on Callaspo. Jeff Francis out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and taken in the first round by the Rockies in 2002. He was the 9th overall pick. Callaspo driving a pitch that was up and away, and Francoeur runs it down in the right field corner. Francoeur recorded the final out of the 3rd inning on a pitch that he lost temporarily in the gray sky. It is now a black sky, so much easier to find the ball. Tonight's Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison has Dan Herron at 93 and Francis at 87 in the first 3+ innings. Now fast is even faster. Double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. One away, and now Mark Trumbo chases a pitch down and away. Trumbo grounded a base hit into right field in the 2nd inning. His first hit this year, just his 2nd major league hit. He was 1 for 15 at the end of the year for the Angels last season. And now 1 for 5 this year. Chased a pitch up, no balls, 2 strikes. Vernon Wells at first base, reaching on an error by Mike Aviles at 3rd. Chance for 2, gets Escobar, Kila. Well, the Angels get the leadoff man on, but send only 3 to the plate. 1-0 Angels. Alex Gordon leads off here in the bottom of the 4th inning, which gets us to our first car soup question of the night from Vancouver, Washington, not British Columbia, where Jeff Francis is from. Bill Sobleski. He asked the booth, were you as surprised as I was when the Royals broke camp with Alex Gordon slotted to hit 3rd? Frank?
Well, I was surprised. I thought that the way he finished last year, he was just still trying to find his swing and find himself as a player. And his spring training, even though it was very good, there was also other guys had great springs too. Guys like Keita Kahui and Melvin Cabrera, guys like that. So I thought maybe he would be one of those guys that they would start maybe in the 6th spot and let him kind of ease himself down in. But Ned Yost has all the confidence in the world in him and in that position, so that's why he's there right now.
And I'll admit, my first reaction was of surprise, and then thinking through what Ned Yost first of all brought up is that it makes sense for him to slot his left-hand batter, right-hand batter, left-hand batter. It makes it difficult for the opposing team to match up relievers when you're going righty, lefty. And then again, the more I thought about it, the Royals need to find out, is Alex going to be a middle-of-the-order type hitter? Because there are guys knocking on the door in AAA that are projected to be middle-of-the-order type guys.
Well, you also have to look at the mental toughness of players. If you can hit, you'll be able to hit anywhere in the lineup. And Alex, if he's on, then this will be no different position than hitting 2nd, 5th, or even 6th.
A full count with Billy Butler on deck and Keita Kahui in the hole. Mathis unable to hang on, so Alex hangs on, still 3-2. Yesterday, Alex Gordon became the 12th consecutive different opening day left fielder. Late swing, but he stays alive, and it's a 7-pitch at bat. Some guys aren't comfortable swinging with the count 3-0, and who knows whether Alex had a take sign or not, but with his power and a 1-run game and the wind blowing out to left field, he may very well have the green light. He rolls it up the first base side. Trumbo goes into foul ground and gets it over to Herron. So 1 away, and let's take a look at our second car soup question for the booth. It comes from Marshall, Missouri, and Scott Fanny. What is the setup for the Futures game tomorrow? I'm sorry, that I is not supposed to be there. Scott Fan, which is a lot different than Scott Fanny. What is the setup for the Futures game tomorrow? Is it a full 9 innings? And who should I root for? Ball 1 to Billy Butler, and I didn't know this until Kevin Shank just told me. Apparently it's a 12-inning game.
A lot of pitchers have to pitch to get ready for opening day. But if I'm going to root for someone, I want to root for the guys closest to the big leagues. I want to see those guys perform well and keep performing well.
So in many ways, it'll be like a spring training game where the individual performances are better than the team performances.
Yes, sir.
That all changes yesterday when it's all about the team. 2-1 on Billy. Herron got him on a pop-up to first, back in the first.
Well, Dan Herron's got good movement on his fastball, and his split fingers is off the chart. I mean, it's really diving and dipping, but that late breaking fastball has just been pretty devastating so far in this game.
Three and two. That fastball really is jumping on the Royals, because there have been a few pitches like that one that aren't necessarily right down the middle, but get the feeling the Royals haven't quite timed his fastball yet.
Well, that's what it appears to me, and he's throwing 2 or 3 different ones. They all have different action.
That one was timed. So Billy has his first hit of the season, and that extends his streak with at least one hit in now 104 straight series.
You read the pitch before, that ball was straight in on the outside, but you can see this fastball here tailing right into Billy's bat, and he's got his head and the barrel of the bat centered right on this ball, and he drives it right back through the middle.
So Billy at first. The Angels will not hold him. And AT KCA at the plate. Aaron struck him out with a splitter in the second inning. They have to keep an eye on Billy. He has one career stolen base in the major leagues, and that was 2 years ago, and that's over 534 games. But he had 3 in spring training, and Ned Yost hinted that Billy, if the timing is right, could have a productive stolen base year for him. Keela drives it into right center. Billy rounds second, but he'll hold as Hunter gets it back quickly. And now Keela has his first hit, and the Royals have 2 on.
Another quality swing by AT KCA here. Ball's up, and he does a good job getting on top of it and driving it in the right center field. You can see how he stays back, hitting against that stiff front leg there. Just all that torque. I mean, he puts a lot of torque in this swing, and the ball just does an outstanding job coming off his bat.
So 2 on for Jeff Francoeur, who grounded out sharply to second base his first time. He jumps back, but it's in for a strike. Sometimes the numbers tell you exactly how a hitter feels against a particular pitcher. Other times not so much. Francoeur is just 1 out of 11 against Herron, but had a good swing against him first time up. But now he's down in the count here. No balls and 2 strikes. So the numbers will give you the final result, but they don't tell you about the history of how solid the contact was. Bounces away from Mathis, and the Royals will move up 90 feet. Butler to third, AT KCA to second base.
This is one area that Ross really worked on hard in spring training. Billy on second base. Normally, if you don't work on this play in spring training, he probably doesn't go down to third base. But as soon as that ball hit the ground and bounced to Mathis's right, Billy was off and running.
So 2 in scoring position, and Francoeur will get one of them home as Ibar throws him out, and the game is tied. So Francoeur drives in his second run. Butler comes down from third base.
That's what aggressive base running gets you right there, Ryan. And the infield plan back. All Francoeur had to do was hit a ground ball in the middle of the field, and he's got himself an RBI.
You know, there's no reason not to be anticipating a ball in the dirt and get a good jump. But when you're facing a guy like Dan Herron in that splitter, you have to pay even more attention or be more ready, because chances are there will be several pitches over the course of the game that will be down.
Well, I think what you saw there with Billy being the lead runner, if they don't really make that a priority in spring training and work on it every day before practice, he goes into this game and he just reacted right away to that ball in the dirt. In a normal situation, maybe last season, maybe he doesn't go in that situation. Maybe because of his speed, he's a little more hesitant to go, especially when you go into third base.
1 ball, 1 strike on Escobar, flied out to right in the second inning. 1 for 4 yesterday. Got a pitch up and fouled it away. Well, in some ways, this is similar to yesterday's game, where the Angels starting pitcher is pitching well by the numbers. Herron has given up 1 run, 4 hits in less than 4 innings. But the Royals are really adding to his pitch count and getting closer to knocking him out of the game. splitter strikes out Escobar. So Herron throws 24 pitches in this inning, and the Royals tie the game. A couple of RBIs. He has an outfield assist in the first 2 games.
Well, Ryan, it's a good start. I mean, most of spring training, he felt like, hey, is this going to work? But he went back to the drawing board with Kevin Seitzer, and he's just doing what he has to do to drive in runs. In that situation there, you can drive in runs without the benefit of a base hit. Just take advantage of what the defense is giving you, and that's what he did.
And that's a department that has really hurt the Royals' run production over the last 2 years, getting that runner in from third base with less than 2 outs.
Well, most hitters will tell you the last thing you think about in that situation is getting a base hit. You look around to see what the defense is giving you, and then you just put the ball in play. When you try to get that base hit is when you don't get the job done.
Jeff Francis allowed a home run in the first inning to Howie Kendrick, but now has 3 consecutive scoreless innings. 1-2 on Jeff Mathis, out on a ground ball to short in the second inning. 9 of the 12 outs for Francis tonight have either been on the ground or a strikeout. And there's another strikeout, and that is his 3rd.
Well, you can see right there, he's established himself on the outer half, and everybody all around the hitters are looking away. And now, a smart pitcher as he is tonight, he comes back inside and gets a strikeout.
And he's really working the radar gun. His velocity is all over the place, and pitching is all about disrupting timing. And right now, there really isn't one speed that the Angels can sit on.
Right. It's not about how fast you throw. It's all about breaking the timing of the hitter and location.
Two balls and no strikes. Peter Borges lined to right in the second inning, and really the Angels have only hit 2 balls hard so far tonight. Borges, and then the home run from Kendrick back in the first. One hop to Aviles. 2 down in the 5th inning. So another ball on the ground from Francis. We were talking about the Royals futures game, and here are some of the details. The Royals and the Angels will play at 12:10. 30 minutes after that game, the AAA Omaha Storm Chasers will take on the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. That game will not be televised, so if you want to see the Royals' future, you have to come out to Kauffman Stadium, and we hope that you do. It will be a 12-inning game so that all the minor league pitchers can get their work in. Eric Ibar 1 out of 2. And down 0-2. Myceris Turris led off for the Angels yesterday. Ibar batted 6th. And I told you earlier in the game about his big drop off in batting average. He lost 59 points off of his average last year compared to 09. And the Angels feel like he may have tried to over adjust his game, becoming a regular leadoff hitter. Also had a tough year on defense. He committed 21 errors.
That's just not a good year on both sides of the plate. I mean, that's usually your offense. When you're not hitting and you're a defensive player, you play defense. But when your offense affects your defense, then it hurts you in both areas. So you don't really help your team on either side of the ball. But I've always known him. When I managed to get him in the minor leagues, I've always looked at him as a guy that has a great imagination. I mean, he knows when to bunt. He'll slash the ball to shortstop, and he can look around and he can go the other way on hit and runs. But he was a real smart player. And like you say, maybe going to number 1, maybe he just felt like I need to take more pitches. And sometimes when you get in that take mode, you lose your aggressiveness.
Let's take a look at some of the results from our Sprint You Call It tonight. If we can get another pitch out of Francis to Eric Ibar. And that additional pitch results in a base hit into center field. So Ibar down in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes, as his second hit. And he is a threat to run. So far, 48% are going to go with Frank White and believe that Bruce Chen will once again lead the Royals in victories this year, followed by Luke Hochevar, then Jeff Francis, and then Kyle Davies, who will pitch tomorrow against Irvin Santana. Keep voting. 432-432. Keyword is Royals, followed by a space, and then A, B, C, or D.
How did I get away with being the only one guessing up here?
Well, the fans aren't agreeing with me, but I've been asked that question several times, and I don't know if he will lead the team, but I think Kyle Davies is going to have a good year. And who knows, maybe even fatherhood will have something to do with it. Ibar is running. Brian Pena had to handle a pitch that was down, and his throw ends up in center field. Backed up quickly by Cabrera, but his throw arrives late. So a stolen base and an error. And now the Royals have 5 errors in their first 2 games this year.
Well, you see, Kendrick does a good job of faking the bunt, and Brian really, you see how low his arm came out of there, and then when your arm comes out low to the side, the ball's going to run back down the line. Chris Getz does a good job of trying to catch it, but you can see the ball just really takes off on Chris, and Melky Cabrera does an outstanding job backing his play up and just did miss Ibar at third base.
Fouled back by Kendrick, and he put the Angels on the board in the first inning with a home run to straightaway center field.
Well, when you're a second baseman coming over there, Ryan, and catch that throw like that, and the ball starts to run down the line, that's when the serious injury can occur at that point, because the ball's taking you right back into the runner. And so you don't like to see your catcher drop that arm down and have the ball run into the runner like that.
And the runner's in a much safer position, down low to the ground in a slide, and the second baseman's legs are exposed.
Right. If you can see the end of it, see, the good thing Chris does, he gets inside, but you don't want that arm to drift back into the lane like it is right there. Luckily, there's a slide right there, and he's not affected. But you want to stay in that straight line, and even if you don't catch the ball, it's probably better to let it go than get your arm hooked into his arm, and you have an injury at that point. So the key when you got a catcher whose ball's going to run that way, you got to get to the base quick, stay inside, and just go straight down the line.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Kendrick. Full count with Bobby Abreu on deck. Abreu has had a terrible time against Francis tonight with 2 strikeouts. So let's see if that plays into how Francis pitches here to Kendrick. Grounded to Escobar. So Francis gets around the 2-out single, the stolen base, and the error. Gets and Mike Aviles against Dan Herron. The Royals tied the game last inning. Billy Butler coming down from third on a ground out from Jeff Francoeur. Pena rolled out to third base his first time up and his first at bat of the season. Two balls, no strikes. Dan Herron had a pretty easy go of it in the first 2 innings. And even though he's only given up 1 run in the last 2 innings, the Royals have made him work. Deeper counts. And now Bryant into left center field. And Vernon Wells trying to pick it off, does, but cuts it off very deep. And Brian Pena has a leadoff double.
This is what Brian does when he's hitting left-handed. This is what he does best. He stays on the ball. The ball is always in the left field when he's got his swing going, and right there he stays right on it. Ball on the outer half of the plate and drives it in the left center field. Vernon Wells does a great job going over and cutting this off, but it was an easy double for Brian Pena on this swing.
And now Getz, a very good bunter, gets one down. Kendrick comes over from second base. So Getz gives himself up so Pena can move to third. So a 1-1 tie. The Royals have the go-ahead run at third, and the Angels will bring the infield in. Mike Aviles has struck out, and he has tripled against Herron tonight. His first 2 career at-bats against Dan Herron.
Yeah, this is where Mike's got to look up in the zone. The infield is in. He's got to look. He's trying to get the ball over the infield. So don't try to hit anything that starts about thigh high and goes down. Let it go. That's a ground ball. Just look something about belt high and try to get it to the outfield.
Staying away from Aviles. 2 balls, no strikes. Popped up. Kendrick has to go out quite a ways because he was playing in. So Vilas does not come through, and Pena's at third base with 2 down. The final game of this series is Sunday afternoon at 1:10. It'll be the first Family Fun Day Sunday at Kauffman Stadium. That's new this year. Live entertainment, face painters, a balloon artist, and much more for the kids and the family in the outfield experience before the game. The gates will open at 11:30. The first pitch is at 1:10. A strike on Melky Cabrera, who is 0 for 2. One ball, 1 strike. So the Royals scored their first run, getting the runner home from third base with less than 2 outs. Same situation here in the 5th, but now they have to get the runner in from third with 2 outs. 2 balls and 1 strike. Brian Pena opened the inning with a double. Chris Getz got him over to third, but now there are 2 away. Hit hard, hit deep, and hit foul. Hit a long ways. That went over the corner of the view level seats in right field. And I cannot tell you whether. Oh no, it did get the corner.
He shows some extremely quick hands inside right there. I think it really showed Dan Herron, if you come in here and you miss, I can get to this pitch.
To the opposite field, and Vernon Wells is there. So the Royals get the leadoff double, but they leave Pena in scoring position. Royals baseball is brought to you by AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread. Taste the difference freshness can make with Panera Catering. Order online now at panera-kansas.com. And by Chevy. See your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. So tied at 1. The Royals had a great scoring opportunity in the bottom of the 5th inning, but Dan Herron got out of it. And now Bobby Abreu to begin the top of the 6th inning, and Jeff Francis has struck him out twice with a curveball swinging in the 1st and a changeup swinging in the 3rd.
Well, Abreu being a veteran hitter, he should be able to make that adjustment, especially the 3rd time around. But looking at that swing, he's still either the deception that Francis is throwing up there, something's making him pull his front shoulder early and giving up the outer half of the plate. And his curveball is swinging way before the ball gets there.
happy to just put the ball in play. And Francis to the bag in time for the out. That makes Bobby Abreu, by the way, Frank, 0 for 12 in his career against Francis. Here's tonight's AT&T trivia question. Who is the active major league leader in outfield assists? Now, we knew this question was coming, and I guessed the man standing in right now. Certainly has been around long enough.
In total assists?
Yep.
I'll go with you on that one.
As opposed to half of his assists?
No, I'm just going with you all the way.
I also threw out Vernon Wells, who is waiting on deck and has been in the big league since 1999. Torrey Hunter first got to the big leagues in '98.
I think those years playing in Minnesota really helped Torrey Hunter a lot. You know, he was able to play on that AstroTurf there. Even though Vernon Wells played on it, I just think that Torrey, I think that extra year really makes a big difference.
Swinging 3-0 and grounds out to Escobar. So another ground ball out for Francis and 2 away in the 6th inning. So who is the active major league leader in outfield assists? Aha. Al Broughton, associate producer, throwing us a curveball.
Wow, he's been DHing.
Well, we have followed the normal path of the trivia question where you begin in the house. This will be a rare out in the air tonight as Francoeur brings it down. And in a 1-1 tie, Francis has an easy 6th inning.
Number 6, the Angels and Royals tied at 1. Now, this is our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant tonight is Curtis Scroggins from Jefferson City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run out of the park this inning, Curtis will win $200. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Curtis will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Well, we'll settle with a leadoff double, Alex Gordon at second base with nobody out. So the second straight inning the Royals have had a leadoff double. And for Alex Gordon, that's his second hit tonight.
Stand in the middle of the field, stand gap to gap. This is a fastball line that's running away from Alex Gordon. And, you know, the old Alex Gordon would have rolled over on this pitch the further the ball got away. But, you know, he really stayed through this ball, stayed in the alley. And whatever he and Kevin worked on, which is basically staying through the middle, Alex has bought into it and he's holding on to it right now.
Ball one on Billy Butler, who scored the Royals run in the 4th inning. After a single, he advanced to third base on a wild pitch, and he came home on Jeff Francoeur's ground out. The Angels scored their run in the 1st inning on Howie Kendrick's home run. Nice block by Mathis, and that keeps Gordon at second base. 2-0 on Billy Butler.
You know, Ryan Keith from Des Moines, Iowa, had a similar question. Has Kevin Slicer changed Alex Gordon's approach? And you go back to December when they first started to work together. That's the one thing they wanted to do, was shorten his swing up and take the dip out of the backside and just try to keep him centered in the middle of the field. And he went to spring training and just kept working on it and had a great spring. And now they're hoping it carries over into the season.
So thank you to Keith with another car soup. Email the booth question. And Kevin Seitzer really broke down Alex Gordon's swing to the basics. And we told you before that their early workouts included a lot of air swings, no contact at all. So trying to take some of the focus away from the baseball for the moment and just the swing, and new muscle memory, a new path for the swing, and then added in hitting the ball off the tee, a little bit of soft toss, and then some live hitting. So tearing the swing down and putting it back together again. Up the middle, Ibar is there. That'll get Gordon to third base. So not what Billy Butler was hoping for with the count 3-1, but it's a productive out. And here we go again, a runner at third base with less than 2 outs. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre with Frank White, Joel Goldberg, producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Brock and Sam Abramson, and the rest of our Fox Sports Kansas City crew. The Angels will bring the infield in for Kila Kaihue. Way inside, ball one. Kila got his first hit of the season last time up, helping set up the Royals' run, a single. He is 1 out of 2. 3 straight innings now. The Royals have had a runner at third with less than 2 outs. 1 ball and 1 strike on Kila.
It's an interesting situation for Dan Herring here, Ryan. You got a left-handed hitter and a right-handed hitter, double play candidate coming up behind him. And how careful do you want to pitch to Kaihue here with first base open?
Pretty good swing, and he fouled it back. Kila last year had a very difficult time against the Angels, so they knew something about how to pitch him, and they held him to 1 for 13. He does not need a base hit here to drive in a run. And he chases a pitch down in the dirt and strikes out. So the Royals are 1 out of 3 so far tonight, trying to get that runner in from third with less than 2 outs. Well, Royals fans, we hope you can join us on Tuesday. It's the first T-shirt Tuesday of the year. It's the Royals and the Chicago White Sox at 7:10, and the first 10,000 fans will receive a T-shirt presented by Pepsi Max. Don't miss out. And we hope you can collect all 7. Jeff Francoeur goes down to get it and golfs it to deep left field. Back goes Wells, and he makes a great catch up against the wall. gloves as a center fielder, and he made a Gold Glove play for the final out of the bottom of the 6th inning. Hi, Frank.
Hey, Ronald.
Pepsi Max is proud to be the official drink of the Kansas City Royals and the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast booth. Look for these special edition Frank White Pepsi Max cans at your neighborhood Hy-Vee. New look, same great taste, and 0 calories. Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. There's Alberto Callaspo's first hit of the year and a leadoff single in the 7th inning. One of the car soup questions to the booth that we received tonight: who were the players that the Royals received for Alberto Callaspo last year? Left-hand pitcher Will Smith, and the Royals were thrilled with the way he pitched in spring training. And right-hander Sean O'Sullivan. Callaspo came up through the Angels organization, was traded to Arizona for Jason Bolger. Bolger is still with the Angels, and now those two are playing together. And then Callaspo coming to the Royals from Arizona for Billy Buckner.
One of my guys.
Not to be confused with Billy Butler, and they were in the same draft. So that was a bit confusing on draft day. 1-1 on Mark Trumbo, who was singled and grounded into a double play. That was back in the 4th inning. So we have winners tonight in the Fox Hot Watch. Whomever predicted that Jeff Francis would pitch into the 7th inning.
I think Jeff Montgomery might be the only one.
Way to go, Monty. Francis was called for a balk back in the 3rd inning with Ibar at first base. Callaspo is built like a guy who should run and be very fast, but he only had 5 stolen bases last year, and he does not have a threatening lead over there. As Trumbo grounds it to Aviles, out at second. Double play, and the second time tonight that Francis has gotten Trumbo to ground into 2.
If you want to see how you turn a double play from second base, just look at Chris Getz on this turn. Mike Aviles does a good job first of giving him a good throw to handle, and Francis does a good job of throwing off speed and getting that ground ball. But you know, just to be able to make that turn, let the runner slide under, outstanding turn. Got the weight on the left foot there. Here comes Callaspo and just lets him slide right under. Very nice turn by Chris Getz at second base.
One ball and 1 strike on Jeff Mathis. So more outs on the ground for Jeff Francis. Only 4 outs in the air and 16 either on the ground or by way of a strikeout. So he is pitching his game tonight, no doubt about that. Good changeup, and it's 1-2 to Mathis.
Yeah, it's doing a real good job, Ryan, of moving his fastball around, but I think the ground balls are coming from the changeup down in the zone, and guys getting out front and hitting the ball on the ground, and also the curveball.
Once again, not quite getting the corners. So the plate is a little smaller in the eyes of Kerwin Danley than it is for Jeff Francis.
I think Jeff Francis would love to throw to John Hirschback.
And a slow curveball strikes out Mathis. And that's the inning. So the Angels send just 3 to the plate. remains tied because of tonight's Miller Lite Tastes Greatness moment.
Well, Ryan Vernon Wells, I mean, with a man on third base, Jeff Francoeur hit the ball to the wall, and he hit. This is a game-saving play. Ball going back over his head, up against the wall in left field. Outstanding play.
And when you play center field as long as Wells did, and as well as Wells did, it's easy to say, well, then you can play anywhere in the outfield. But it is a big adjustment going from center field to one of the corner spots. I mean, the ball comes off the bat and moves, cuts, slices, hooks, fades. It does things on the corners that it doesn't do in center field.
Well, I agree with that, and it's still also good to have that center field speed and that knowledge of the ball. But like you say, in center field, everything's coming straight, and left field is slicing it and hooking toward the line. So to be able to make that adjustment right there at the last minute against the wall was an outstanding play.
Bottom third of the order against Dan Herron. Alcides Escobar, Brian Pena, and Chris Getz. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Royals fell short yesterday, mostly because of leaving men on base against the Angels bullpen. They did next to nothing against Jared Weaver, but against the bullpen they had runners everywhere. They just couldn't get them home, and they stranded 7 runners in the last 3 innings. And to center field, Peter Borges is there, and there is 1 down, and Escobar is 0 for 3. The Royals' trouble tonight has been getting the runner in from third base with less than 2 outs. They've had a runner there the last 3 innings and have only been able to get him home once.
They're just being able to come up with the sacrifice fly at the right time, get a ball you can handle and get the run in. That's been the key. And Keeler struck out on a ball down in the dirt and with the infield in, so that anytime you have the infield in, your odds go up in terms of being able to drive that run in from third base. You just got to make the pitcher give you what you want and react to it.
Outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Question for Frank and our Car Soup email the booth question. John from Raymore, and with the Royals having difficulty getting the runners home, how about the decision back in the 5th inning to bunt Chris Getz with a runner at second base and nobody out rather than let him swing away?
Well, you really can't look at that play and say that would have been a difference in the ball game. Basically, utilizing the talents of that player. You got a runner on second, you got to get him to third. What is Chris Getz? What are the chances of him pulling the ball to the right side when he's usually a guy that hits out in the left field? So what Ned Yost is doing is getting the guy 90 feet away and giving himself 2 more opportunities to drive him in. So I agree with that play.
I do too. I mean, you're playing with a Chris Getz strength, and that is bunting.
I think part of the manager's job is to make your players do what they're best at. And I think advancing runners by bunting is one of Chris Getz's strengths. And you've always wanted to ask him to do things that he can be successful at doing. And that makes him a valuable player to your ball club.
Pena shifting and swinging at the same time and making contact. Dan Herron has reached 100 pitches, and with that, the Angels are busy in their bullpen, and there's Robinson Tejeda warming in the Royals bullpen. Jeff Francis is right around the 100 pitch count himself. So if you don't think managers pay attention to the 100 pitch mark, I mean, as soon as that foul ball went back into the screen and became pitch 100 for Herron, the Angels immediately went to work in the bullpen. Right center field, Borges with great speed, and that's a routine play for him. And there are 2 down. This week, NASCAR on Fox moves to Martinsville, where Denny Hamlin will try to defend his title and take home his 4th straight checkered flag on that track. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing begins Sunday with the pre-race show at 11:30 in high definition on Fox. But you knew that, Frank.
HD, what's that? Now it's 3D.
Kendrick comes in, underhands over to first. That almost cost him with Getz running up the line. But Getz is out, and so are the Royals in the 7th. Pitching on both sides, Dan Aaron and Jeff Francis. Panera will take us around the American League. And look at that game in Cleveland. 15-10. White Sox are way up. The Indians made it a game. 5 RBIs for Carlos Quint. Good way to start the year. David Murphy with a pinch hit RBI to put Texas over Boston. Baltimore beats the Rays. And later tonight, Seattle is at Oakland. So a Chevy call to the bullpen, and Robinson Tejeda going to pick up for Jeff Francis, who gave up 1 run, 5 hits in 7 innings. And the run that he allowed was in the first. So he finished strong with 6 scoreless innings. The Angels only made 4 outs in the air against Jeff Francis. One of those balls that was up resulted in a home run. Howie Kendrick back in the first inning. So 17 of the 21 outs for Francis were either on the ground or a strikeout.
He pitched a very good game tonight. It just gives you, you know, a lot of people go with speed. You know, you want to be 95, 92, above average fastball. But if you're a pitcher that can move the ball around and change speeds and keep the hitters off balance, you can do exactly what Jeff Francis did tonight.
Into left center field. Melky Cabrera is going to have to hurry, and Borges thought about 2, and he holds. So Melky, knowing the speed of the batter runner, hustling into left center field, and that keeps Borges at first base.
And that's really just knowing that who's at the plate at the time. Line drive over shortstop. He does a real good job getting here. Ryan just comes up throwing right on the money.
So we'll see what the Angels do. The easy decision would be to bunt Ibar. You have excellent speed at first base, and Ibar is a very good bunter. Hit and run is also an option, because you have excellent speed at first. You have excellent speed at the plate. And Ibar has swung the bat well tonight. He has 2 hits and a stolen base.
And if Mike charges a little too fast, he can pull a bat back and he can slash the ball towards shortstop. Very good back control. Now what he has to do here, Ryan, is look at the first baseman Kahui and look at Mike and say, if Mike's charging, then he's got to bunt that ball to first base and to the furthest available player away from him. If he bunts it to third, when Mike's right there, he may have a play at second base if he bunts it too hard.
Borges, in about a month and a half with the Angels last year, had 10 stolen bases.
So with his speed in this situation, I wouldn't rule that out, especially against Bryant if his arm is not on the mark as he was in that last throw.
Well, they try the hit and run here, and Ibar fouls it away. Borges has had as many as 50 stolen bases in a season. Tomorrow it's Kyle Davies against Urban Santana. He won 17 games for Mike Scioscia last year. A 12-10 first pitch with Royals Live beginning at 11:30, and then remember the Futures game about 30 minutes after the conclusion of the Royals and the Angels. That game will not be televised. Tejeda is not convinced that Ibar is going to bunt, so he throws over to first base.
When the batter squares around that early, you really don't know exactly what's on his mind, and he's got so many options in that situation because it allows him to see the infield and see what the corner guys are doing.
And the bunt is down, and it is foul.
You can see right there, he was trying to take the ball to first base, but when you're trying to sacrifice, you don't want the ball down the line. You just want the ball out in the grass, and you're out as a hitter. Just tell yourself, I'm out, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to bunt this ball, and I'm going to be out at first base. But when you're trying to bunt to get a base hit, then that's when you do things like that.
There's a reason why they call it a sacrifice bunt.
Yes.
You are sacrificing yourself. That will be out of play. It will be difficult to turn a double play with the speed, but the Royals have turned 2 double plays tonight. Here's a look at the Home Depot doing more on defense. And both double plays coming courtesy of Mark Trumbo in the 4th inning and in the 7th inning. Borges started to go, and he kind of spun his wheels in the dirt. He didn't get the traction and the jump that he wanted. 2-2 on Ibar.
Well, I think he's watching Tejeda. He's done a good job of varying his moves and varying his looks to first base, and he put a slide step on him. And most of the speed guys, they see that slide step, they kind of treat it as a pitch out.
Not running, and a chance for 2. Gets Escobar, Keela, and the Royals have turned 3 tonight.
And this is a direct result of not getting the bunt down, and these things happen. And when you're playing a game like this, that is key to get those bunts down. But Chris Guest does a good job in feeding Escobar chest high. Nice throw to get a speedy Ibar down the first baseline.
So 2 outs and nobody on for Kendrick, and Howie Kendrick is responsible for the Angels' run way back in the 1st inning, a home run to center field against Francis. The Royals' run coming in the bottom of the 4th on a Jeff Francoeur ground out.
Well, that was early in the game right here, Ryan. A changeup out over the plate, and we know the power of Howie Kendrick. He get a ball up out of the plate, he can hit it hard, and he did on that pitch that Jeff Francis left up.
Look out. Oh, man, thank goodness that bat went into the screen. And it was very close to being to the right of the screen. And that would have made the bat a very dangerous projectile into the seats.
That goes back to you and I saying the screen should be further, further down the line. A lot of fans probably wouldn't agree with this, but there was a fan hit by Torrey Hunter's bat yesterday that broke and had the sharp end going to to the seat. So there's some argument for it.
And if there was netting there, that fan would not have been hit by that bat.
Right.
And my response to the fans not liking that screen, well, then take that screen down.
Oh boy.
Right? I mean,
you don't want to take
those people don't complain, and those are some of the most expensive seats in the house.
Well, it would be hard for me to go to a ball game and sit out in the open. I'm just not used to it. I'm used to being behind the screen. I know what the ball's capable of doing, what bats are capable of doing. So all the protection you can get at a ballpark, you should try to get it. It's not about being close to the players and right behind the dugout.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Kendrick. Robinson Tejeda begins this year as he did last year as the 8th inning setup man for Joaquin Soria, but he lost that job early in last year as he struggled in his first 10 outings. His ERA was over 12. It was almost 13 in his first 10 outings. But then he was able to bounce back from that, and over his final 44 outings, Tejeda's ERA was just a shade over 2. So he really pulled it together after his first 10 trips to the mound. Jammed him, and a fly ball into right field for Francoeur. Angels are scoreless in the 8th. In the bottom half, it'll be Mike Aviles, Melky Cabrera, and Alex Gordon. Will be the site of Boulevard Royals Live at the end of the game, and with the preview, let's check in with Joel.
Game, Ryan. Split and I will have Boulevard Royals Live. We will take a closer look at Jeff Francis's night, and Split, you know, he's got to break down the lefty's balk as well. We'll take a look at that pickoff move, the double play, huge for the Royals tonight. We'll talk about that. Hopefully a winner as well. And then, guys, I should point out, quick turnaround pregame tomorrow. Everything you want about that futures game, including our friends Mark Nasser and Stephen Davis. Guys.
All right, thank you, Joel. And now the Angels make a Chevy call to the bullpen. Jordan Walden, who pitched yesterday, picks up for Dan Herron. So both starters certainly deserved a win tonight for their work, both going 7 innings, both giving up 1 run. Royals have the top of the order in the 8th, Aviles, Cabrera, and Gordon. And Walden running it up there at 96 miles an hour with a difficult arm angle for a right-hand batter. Aviles tripled in the 3rd inning. And while that felt good, right now in the forefront of his mind would be the pop out to second base in the 5th with a runner at 3rd and 1 out. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. You really want to try to come through in those situations, and you want to do it in any game, but especially in a game where your pitcher's really on and he's moving through the game quickly, and you have an opportunity to drive in a run. That stays with you in a game like this.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Jordan Walden out of the Angels organization, drafted in 06 in the 12th round. And he walks Aviles to begin the bottom of the 8th. Here's tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Most outfield assists since 2005. Jeff Francoeur with 82, so not even close compared to Alfonso Soriano and Nick Markakis.
And that was his first year in the league.
Won a Gold Glove 2 years later in 07. And he added to that total yesterday, gunning down Jeff Mathis at the plate. Melky thinking about laying one down. 0 for 3 tonight after getting 3 hits yesterday. He wants Eddie Rodriguez to go through the signs again. Walden was the 3rd of 6 Angels pitchers yesterday, and he faced 1 batter.
But a guy throwing as hard as Walden's throwing, and get him up there 96 miles an hour. What Melky's got to do is make sure he gets on top of the ball and get it down. If he throws a borderline fastball, there's a tendency to either bunt it too hard or pop it up. So he wants to get it out on the end of the bat, just out on the grass in front of home plate.
Melky has had as many as 10 sacrifice bunts in a major league season. Last year with the Braves, he had 5. Not bunting this time, and the count is even at 1-1. Leadoff walk to Mike Aviles. Dan Herron did not walk one single Royal in his 7 innings. On the corner, a strong throw from his knees, and Mathis not able to get Mike Aviles, but that might shorten Mike's lead.
Well, they definitely got to land on that right foot and be ready to come back to first base after the ball passes the hitter, but that was a pretty nasty pitch by Walden there, right on the inside corner.
Down goes Cabrera. So a walk and now a strikeout. And up comes Alex Gordon.
It's almost like he just had Cabrera just really confused as to what approach he's going to take right here, Ryan. The fastball's away, fastball on the corner, and there he comes with an 84-mile-an-hour slider right down the middle of the plate.
So Alex Gordon with Aviles at first base. Alex had a tough day yesterday. 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Flies to left field here, and Vernon Wells is there for the second out. Joaquin Soria getting ready for the top of the 9th inning. Royals would prefer, of course, to do so with the lead. It looks like he'll be coming in whether the Royals take the lead or the game is tied. Really tonight, 1 out of 3 scoring the Royals run back in the 4th inning. Coming down from 3rd on a ground out from Jeff Francoeur.
Well, I think Mike might have been running right there, Ryan. I think he gave it away too soon, and Walden stepped off.
On Butler. Hard throwers like this are usually good guys to run on because it takes a lot of body movement to get the ball to the plate with that type of velocity.
Yeah, the only thing they can do is just be a little quicker at times, hold the ball a little bit longer, try to change it up that way. And base runners, the longer you hold the ball, if they're not balanced properly, they get back on their heels. They don't get that good jump.
Walden could combat that by using a slide step, but then he would be compromising his stuff. Aviles runs, and Billy fouls it away. Aviles stole 14 bases last year for the Royals. He was thrown out 5 times. Blocked by Mathis.
That's about as textbook as you get on a block ball. That's a heartbreaking ball in the dirt. And I think a lot of catchers get in trouble when they actually try to catch this ball. But Mathis just settled down. He just got real soft and let the ball hit him in the chest and goes right back out in front of the plate.
Jordan Walden trying to get around a leadoff walk. The Angels bullpen gave up both runs yesterday, and they're lucky they only gave up 2. The Royals had runners everywhere against the Angels pen. Aviles runs again, and Mathis' throw is going to sail into center field. Well, the go-ahead run is at third base as Aviles steals his first and down to third on the air.
Mathis tries to be quick and never gets that left shoulder turned in. The ball ran 5-6 feet down the line in the center field.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Billy Butler. And a full count with Keila Kaihue on deck. Royals just couldn't get the big hit against the Angels with 2 outs and runners in scoring position last night. They are 0 for 4 tonight with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Struck him out. And Billy rarely chases a fastball up and out of the strike zone, but down he goes. And the Royals leave a runner at third. Ninth inning tied at 1. A Great night for both starting pitchers. Jeff Francis for the Royals, Dan Herron for the Angels, but now it's in the hands of the bullpen, and Joakim Soria makes his first appearance. He'll get the 3, 4, and 5 hitters in the Angels lineup. Joakim was the Royals pitcher of the year last year. He established a new team record for consecutive saves with 36, and that streak came to an end right here in the final game of the season against Tampa Bay. He went from early May until October the 3rd without a blown save. And now 3 balls and no strikes on Abreu. The previous record was held by Jeff Montgomery. He had 24 consecutive saves back in '93, and Soria added 12 to that.
That's phenomenal.
3-1. Abreu is thrilled that Jeff Francis is out of the game, and it just looked like he couldn't time Francis at all, and that's nothing new. He is now 0 for 12 with 8 strikeouts in his career against Francis. Hit hard to get, and he handles a tricky hop and throws out Abreu. So 1 away, and now Torrey Hunter, and so far the Royals have been able to hold him down. The best Hunter has been able to do tonight was a walk in the first inning, and then Francis got him on a fly ball to right and a ground ball to short. There were other notables for Soria last year. At the end of April, he picked up his 94th career save, giving him the most by a Mexican-born pitcher. Popped up, and Keela comes to the grass, and Torrey Hunter is the second out. About a month after his 94th save, Soria picked up his 100th career save, becoming the 6th youngest in Major League history to reach that milestone. So that was a big season for Soria, and he represented the Royals at the All-Star game. And he jams Vernon Wells. Keela goes into foul ground, and we will go to the bottom of the 9th inning, tied at 1, with Keela, Francoeur, and Escobar coming up. It'll be Michael Kahn to face Keila Kaihue, Jeff Francoeur, and Alcides Escobar. The Royals saw Michael Kahn yesterday. He pitched 2/3 of an inning with a walk and a strikeout. The walk yesterday was against Keila. A called strike, 0-1. That 8th inning included the Angels bullpen walking the bases loaded with 1 out. And Michael Kahn was able to slip out of that with a strikeout of Jeff Francoeur and a flyout from Alcides Escobar. Into right field and deep. Back goes Hunter. Aloha! The Royals win their first game of 2011 on a 9th inning walk-off from Keila Kaihue. Doesn't take very long to come up with tonight's Chevy play of the game.
Well, you know, Ryan, it had to come down to something like this, with both teams really failing in fundamental situations. It had to come down to a long home run by Keila Kaihue in this situation. Big hit, big win for the Royals.
So after celebrating with his teammates, Keela's down on the field with Joel.
Yeah, and obviously, Ryan, this place is absolutely jacked up right now as Keila Kaihue going deep for the walk-off home run. And we'll let you take that in for a second as the crowd voices its approval. All right, how about the thrills, the emotion, and the excitement just moments after winning this one for the home crowd?
Just a great game. Just a great game. We battled. We had our chances. We finally broke through in the 9th. It was awesome.
What's the adrenaline like to be up here in the big leagues, start the season? You've been waiting a long time for this, and to be able to actually hit a walk-off home run.
It's just great to win for the team. I mean, all that other stuff is done. I'm here now. Let's just win some ball games.
All right, tell us about that final at-bat and what you saw on the home run.
Started me off with a good slider. To the next fastball, caught a lot of the plate.
All right, how about this season overall? There's so many of you out here with something to prove. What are your thoughts, your expectations, your hopes for the season?
Win the division. That's what we're out here for. Win some ball games and see what happens.
All right, final thing for you, as we're losing a little bit of reception with all the craziness here, but you've got a lot of Keila Kaihue fans out there at the stadium and on TV tonight. What do you have to say to them?
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for hanging with me.
All right, the big Hawaiian. Hey, he can handle a little bit of a chilly night here in Kansas City. Guys, let's go back upstairs to you.
All right, thank you, Joel. And here is the bouncing collection of white and blue. And Keila